Let's bring out Caitlin. She is a contributing editor for the Atlantic Monthly, whose new cover story is "That's Not Funny: How Today's College Students Can't Seem to Take a Joke." Please welcome Caitlin Flanagan. Hey, Caitlin. How you doing?
Hi, great.
Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Well, what a time to have the name Caitlin, huh?
It is, really. I'm going by Bruce now.
It probably wasn't a problem for like the first 20-something years of your life.
There were other problems with it, but this is a new dimension.
I know. Okay, well, we won't talk about that. I really wanted to have you on because when I read your article, I said, oh my gosh, this is the person who's going to continue this discussion. I didn't start, some other people did. I've mentioned it before about how college kids have no sense of humor, and then Jerry Seinfeld said something, Chris Rock chimed in, Larry the Cable Guy said, I don't play colleges anymore, they're too politically correct. You delve into why, so I really want you to explain that. Why are the college students so politically correct?
Why they're so politically correct now? Well, they're the inheritors of 30 years of identity politics, and that's part of the problem.
What is that?
That means that, you know, instead of saying we all have general principles by which we live and seek to sort of understand our lives, that I'm going to stand up for the feminist cause, I'm going to stand up for a particular racial or ethnic cause, and I'm going to fiercely guard that and completely stand on the side of that issue.
Tribal.
Yes, it is rather tribal.
So tribal, aren't we?
And I think that, you know, I don't blame the kids for this. A lot of people really demonize the kids.
It's the parents, right?
I think so, because, you know, when kids come to college, when they come to any school, they are, you know, by definition, they're ignorant. They don't know anything yet. And it is the moral obligation of their teachers, of the adults who work in that institution, to teach them something, to relieve them of this great burden of ignorance. But there are so many professors who have completely abdicated that position and have just cravenly ceded to whatever these poor kids who don't know anything yet, what they come and say, they're just reinforced by the professors. And the whole system is now being run by these kids who are paying the tuitions that pay the salaries.
Well, that's a great point that you make, that probably our idea, you and I, of college is outdated. We thought it was an institution where you learn and explore, and it's really all about keeping the kids paying the tuition.
It is. It's become a country club. They spend a tremendous amount of money, which many of them can't afford. That's sort of an immoral aspect of it as well. They kind of lure these kids in with their wonderful gyms and their farm-to-table dining and their idiot, politically correct sort of, you know, humanities curriculum. And the kids end up with these staggering debts that they have to somehow pay off, and with this ridiculous sort of sense of, you know, I'm not saying that the ideas that each of them hold is necessarily a bad idea, but when we were young, you know, I grew up in Berkeley, and, you know, I saw, my father was a college professor, the kids who had, you know, really progressive ideas, they had skin in the game. They were getting estranged from their parents. They were leaving school. They were eating kind of brown rice in apartments around Berkeley. They were paying a tremendous personal cost for these political beliefs. But nowadays, these kids, mom and dad write huge checks. They're extremely privileged, they're extremely pampered, and they run around complaining that they're the victim of these microaggressions.
Yes. They need trigger warnings in case someone says something awful.
And they think that we're sort of these horrible, crass people who don't understand the great beauty of life that they do, and that we don't understand when we're giving microaggressions against them. But if you and I went to the South Bronx and we found some 19-year-olds there, and we said, how much of your day do you spend worrying about microaggressions? They wouldn't know whether to laugh or cry, because they know that we live in a violent country with a gun problem.
Yes, you know who else doesn't care about them? Doctors Without Borders, because they're actually doing something to help the world. Not just sitting on the internet like, you know, virtual vigilantes pointing out the bad person.
Exactly. And again, I don't hold them responsible. It's the nature of youth that you don't know much yet. But the people who teach there should be instructing them that they should have free speech, they should have an ability to inquire, they should be able to ask any question, they should be able to write anything and subject themselves to the academic or rigorous intellectual discipline, and that's largely gone.